Ever wonder why we are more connected than ever before? In fact, I've heard the word being used, we are becoming a more global village. And yet, many of us still feel completely alone. I mean, you can FaceTime, you can scroll endlessly on socials, but deep down, you're still really looking for someone to hear you. This episode, we're diving into a quiet revolution, one that starts with listening. Today, I'm sitting with Shane, a police officer, a tech guy, as well as the founder of Loqui Listening app. He's helping people talk their way out of loneliness, one anonymous call at a time. Well, good morning, Shane. So good to have you here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Dennis.
I'm looking forward to hearing about the Loqui Listening app from you. And that's what we're going to really talk about. But before we get into that, I would like to kind of rewind the tape. And first of all, have you introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about what the Loqui Listening app is.
Wonderful. Again, thank you, Dennis, for the warm welcome. My name is Shane. I'm in Chicago, a longtime Illinois resident, and my previous career and job was in telecommunications. So I liked working with software, design, sales, and customer service. So that was my first career. Fast forward about 15 years, and I left telecom, and I'm now a police officer. So I help a police officer in Illinois, and something I've been doing for the last almost 7 years, and I love it.
Awesome. And how long has the Loqui app been going?
We just launched in January of this year, so about 120 days, our first quarter. Again, we're on
Okay.
iPhone and Android. We launched in January of this year.
Before Loqui became an app, it started with Shane just picking up the phone, answering DMs. Basically, there was no scripts, no licenses. It was just him being present.
For years, I was offering listening services to anonymous people that just needed someone to talk to. And we would connect on Instagram, or we'd connect on Facebook Messenger, or they'd call my private phone. So kind of a piecing together while we built the app, offering listening services on demand to people that just were tired of talking to their friends, their family members, and coworkers. So offering that for years, finding people just needing to connect and talk to somebody when they need to vent and they're tired of talking to a traditional therapist or a counselor. When I transitioned from working in the private sector, typical job, 9 a.m. to 5, transitioning from that to being a police officer and working in public sector, I realized it was more of a transition, a struggle than I anticipated. So at that time, I did reach out to some close family members and friends, and I was all able to offer, get their listening services, and realized how important it was to be able to share what I was going through with a close-knit group of people that allowed me to feel safe and talk about the struggles I was having.
I imagine through the journey of setting this app up, you've kind of done your research on what the benefits of having somebody listen to you are. Would like to share some of that?
Yeah, it's amazing. Loneliness and not having someone to talk to is quite an epidemic. We went through
Mhm.
COVID-19. Even before COVID, we found ourselves as human beings connecting on Facebook and Instagram and these having many different apps and methods to talk. Yet we're finding studies are showing that humans in the States are still feeling loneliness. There's a large percentage of people that may appear to have a large social network, but not anyone they really can pick up the phone and call during a struggle, whether it be finances, a relationship, or difficulties dealing with all the myriad of things we go through. So loneliness is a large epidemic that the world is going through today.
Did you know that loneliness is not just a bad feeling? It's actually physically dangerous. Studies show it raises your risk of heart disease, stroke, dementia, even early death. It's like secondhand smoke for the soul.
I know, like you've mentioned, there's so many platforms out there, and that means there's so much noise. And how does the Loqui Listening app help people find clarity?
Yeah, the Loqui app is wonderful. We have a number of anonymous listeners who create their profiles, share what they're comfortable sharing, and they give their time throughout the day, putting themselves online and available to take phone calls and respond to messages. So we have a
Okay.
network of listeners who are qualified. Some have experience being counselors, some have different kind of degrees in terms of social working, or others are offering peer-to-peer listening as a service. So the listeners put themselves online. When they're online, they are subject to receive phone calls from our anonymous users throughout the day on demand. Our listeners are available to listen without judgment. It's less of an advice hotline. It's less of
Mhm.
a what do I do in this situation? We're finding the users are connecting with our listeners and just needing someone to talk to.
I see. Um, have you had any particular testimonials, so to speak, about how it has benefited some people in the first quarter that you've been up?
Yeah, while keeping anonymity there and keeping confidentially in the app, the
Hmm.
feedback we're getting is very common across the board, whether it be for the listeners, how beneficial they're realizing it is listening and offering the services, and from our users, the customers that go on and need to talk. The feedback we're constantly getting is after a short 15, 30-minute phone call, how much better they're feeling getting things off their chest.
Hmm.
Specifically, one user recently said connecting inside Loqui is a different feeling and different vibe than traditional therapy, for example. Connecting on Loqui and talking with a listener, someone who they may consider a peer, just has a whole different dynamic than talking with a therapist. Little less pressure, little better vibe, and able to talk almost at the peer-to-peer status. So again, the feedback we're getting is talking with strangers starts out anonymous.
Hmm.
Very frequently, it goes from an anonymous stranger to an acquaintance, and some of those relationships go from acquaintance to a really close friend because of the level and the depth of the conversations they're able to share inside the app because of the anonymity.
That is awesome. I know you've kind of hinted on it, but would you, one, for the person that's listening right now, just give them an overview about really what Loqui is and who it is for?
Again, Loqui Listening is available on Android and iPhone. It's available for anybody. If anyone is tired of talking to a coworker, or they're in a relationship, they're getting out of a relationship, or they're wanting to talk and get some anonymous, someone to listen anonymously. Sometimes our friends or our close network of friends or family members could form biases, and we
Hmm.
can listen to our friends or a family member or a coworker and start to have judgment about what that close friend is going through because you care about them. Inside Loqui, it's not we don't care about these people. We just having the blanket of anonymity allows our listeners to listen without having those biases about what it is the talker or the other people are going through. So the biggest thing is having the anonymity to be able to share exactly what you're going through and to feel heard and validated.
That's awesome. I know I have tried it myself as a talker, and it's been personally, it's been a good place to actually vent and not feel judged and just be human about whatever you're going through. And the listener on the other side was really good at what they did. We ended up laughing about how crazy my situation was, and it was just a great safe space to talk. So I just wanted to put that out there to encourage whoever is listening in right now. Um, Let me just ask you your personal view on this question: is what role do you believe community plays in healing one's mental wellness through listening and just talking?
It's a great question, and it's actually a prompt for an upcoming blog. We share
Oh,
blogs
yeah.
weekly on Fridays, Loqui Latest, and we try to share and create community. We try to create that space where people can go, both the talkers and the listeners that are using the app. But I think listening is just an amazing superpower that if I could go in and have better listening skills myself, or really offer that listening without judgment, listening to really understand what someone else is going through. It's a great feeling, both myself being able to feel what the other person's trying to say. And then on the other end, it's an amazing feeling when someone else is able to feel like they're being understood and they're being validated, and what it is that they're saying and feeling and experiencing is being conveyed across the board. I recently read a book called Mind Wise by Chicago professor Nicholas Epley. It's called Mind Wise. It talks about, as human beings, how difficult it is to have that space where you feel heard and validated. And there's a line in the book that specifically says, as human beings, we may underestimate the value of our communications, and we may underestimate what it feels like to be truly heard and understood. And quite frankly, we may overestimate how accurately we feel we communicate. And the book just talks about some skills of how we could listen better and give people the space to feel truly heard and non-judged.
And that's the power of Loki. No need to impress, no need to defend, just be you.
Awesome. So we can download the app, Loqui Listening app, on Android as well as iOS. Is that right?
That's right. If anyone's not following us on Instagram or Facebook, it's just Loqui Listening, LOQUI LISTENING. If you Google Loqui Listening or go to our website, you'll see we just surpassed 15,000 minutes and phone
Nice.
calls,
Awesome.
connecting strangers to people that need someone to talk to. So thank you to our amazing listeners and our network of people putting yourselves available. We just passed over 15,000 minutes and messages and phone calls in the app. So thank you for everything everyone's doing inside the app.
Awesome. And thank you so much for being here and for doing such a great job with Loqui Listening. I hope you keep pushing through. It's definitely one of those resources that I personally believe that everybody needs.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me, and thank you for sharing your experience as a talker. Next time we connect, I'd love to talk to you more about your experience as a listener and how it feels when you put yourself online and when those phone calls come through.
Talking to a stranger may not be easy, but with Loki, you don't have to impress, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be you. So if you have something that you need to let off your chest, try Loki.